thinking bright. I'm going to turn that down. Feels better. Good evening. Welcome to Reading Things with a Southern Accent 2020 episode number 60. 60. 60. That is 6 times 10. That is, I'm doing math over here. That's a lot of, what? It's 20 times 3. So we've done this 3 months. March, April, May, we're in June. It's the middle of June. It's the, what?
We did it halfway in March.
Right, but it's June 6th. We've almost been doing this for 3 months solid. We're close. Episode 60, big deal. I think it's a big deal. Today is Saturday, June the 6th. I just looked at my watch, right? Yeah. Tomorrow's June the 7th. What? Yeah, that's how calendar works, apparently. That's what the producer just said. I recorded my radio show this morning, and then I said that tomorrow was June the 8th on my radio show, so I had to go back and fix that. It's a crazy day. It's been raining here all day long, and all of a sudden, if you can see behind me,
My radio show is on the 7th, so tomorrow will be the 8th.
tomorrow is Sunday,
And
and my show is on the 7th.
you're saying tomorrow as a Monday?
No. No. And then all of a sudden the rain has stopped. The sky has cleared. The sun is out. If you can see behind me, the sun is glaring through the cracks back here. A friend of mine who lives locally, he asked me, he's like, did you mount a strip of like LEDs behind that wood piece that you sit in front of? And for a minute, I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. But if you see over my shoulder here, the sun is hit, like, so the sun sets over here in the summertime. And so the actual angle of the sun is hitting straight into this little crack on the window. And that's what that is. It's the sun coming in. I'm getting the move it along signal. Anyways, it's been a crappy day, weather-wise. I cut my finger, this one here. I was trying to cut a lime, and I didn't have a cutting board, and it was an old lime. But you know, if you squeeze an old hard lime, you can still get juice out of it. So I was cutting it, but I didn't get all the way through, and I didn't want to put it on the countertop and cut it on the counter. And so I picked it up, and I went to go through, and I went whoosh, straight into my finger. It hurt. But I got a Phillies Band-Aid on there. You can't see it. Tonight we're picking up in Chapter 3 of the book, the novel, Emma, which is written by Jane Austen. Emma was published in 1815. Jane Austen died in 1817. 17? Do you know how old she was when she died? Get on that. Emma, written after Austen's move to Chawton, which is somewhere in England, I imagine.
41.
She was 41. Jane Austen died at 41. That is a truncated lifetime. Can you imagine how many more books we could have witnessed, we could have read, if she had lived to be as old as like Dr. Seuss? It was written after Austen's move to Chawton. It was her last novel to be published during her lifetime, while Persuasion, the last novel Austen wrote, was published posthumously. Posthumously. It's a hard word to say, but you know what I'm saying. After her life was over. Emma Woodhouse is the protagonist in this story. She seems like she is a bit spoiled. Audrey Fish is here. Hi, Audrey Fish. Huh?
Was your birthday?
Yes. Audrey's birthday was 5 days ago, June 1st. Happy birthday, boss. Emma is spoiled, headstrong, and self-satisfied. She greatly overestimates her own matchmaking abilities. She is blind to the dangers of meddling in other people's lives, and her imagination and perceptions often lead her astray. They just made this into a new movie. What? Cinematic feature. And we're talking about watching it soon because it would be funny to do that. Now, chapter 3, Emma. It's Saturday. It pours a little bigger. It is a bigger glass.
And more.
Well, no, it's narrower at the bottom. It just looks like more. Need to move it along here. Okay, chapter 3. Mr. Woodhouse. Sound like Dwight there, didn't I? Mr. Woodhouse was fond of society in his own way. He liked very much to have his friends come and see him from various united causes. From his long residence in Hartfield, and his good nature, from his fortune, his house, and his daughter, he could command the visits of his own little circle. I kind of feel like they might be in their own little COVID quarantine. In a great treasure as he liked. Wait. He could command the visits of his own little circle in a great measure as he liked. He had not much intercourse with any families beyond that circle. They use the word intercourse here in strange places, I think. I lost my place. His horror of late hours and large dinner parties made him unfit for any acquaintance but such as would visit him on his own terms. Fortunately for him, Highbury included Randalls in the same parish, and Downwell Abbey in the parish adjoining. The seat of Mr. Knightley comprehended many such. Not unfrequently, though, Emma's persuasion not frequently through Emma's persuasion, he had some of the chosen and the best to dine with him. Why is this so hard for me to read? But evening parties were what he preferred, and unless he fancied himself at any time unequal to company, there was scarcely an evening in the week in which Emma could not make up a card table for him. Real, long-standing regard brought the Westons and Mr. Knightley, and by Mr. Elton, a young man living alone without lacking it, the privilege of exchanging any vacant evening of his own blank solitude for the elegancies and society of Mr. Woodhouse's drawing room and the smiles of his lovely daughter, was in no danger of being thrown away. I wish that I lived in this time because I really wish that I had a drawing room. Okay, we're doing 3 sections here because we're moving the story along. Harriet Smith was the natural daughter of somebody. Somebody had placed her several years back at Mrs. Goddard's school, and somebody had lately raised her from the condition of scholar to that of parlor boarder. This was all that was generally known of her history. She had no visible friends but what had been acquired at Highbury, and was now just returned from a long visit in the country to some young ladies who had been at school there with her. She was a very pretty girl, and her beauty happened to be of a sort which Emma particularly admired. She was short, plump, and fair, with a fine bloom, blue eyes, light hair, regular features, and a look of great sweetness. And before the end of the evening, Emma was as much pleased with her manners as her person, and quite determined to continue the acquaintance. Starting chapter 4. Harriet Smith's intimacy at Hartfield was soon a settled thing. Quick and decided in her ways, Emma lost no time in inviting, encouraging, and telling her to come very often, and as their acquaintance increased, so did their satisfaction in each other. As a walking companion, Emma had very early foreseen how useful she might find her. In that respect, Mrs. Weston's loss had been important. Now, if you remember, Mrs. Weston is her sister who got, her nanny. Governess. Mrs. Weston was her nanny or her governess that got married and moved out of the house. So, this is where she comes into play. Mrs. Weston's loss had been important. Her father never went beyond the shrubbery where 2 divisions of the ground sufficed him for his long walk, or his short. As the year varied, and since Mrs. Weston's marriage, her exercise had been too much confined. She had ventured once alone to Randall's, but it was not pleasant, and Harriet Smith, therefore, one whom she could summon at any time to a walk, would be a valuable addition to her privileges. But in every respect, as she saw more of her, she approved her, and was confirmed in all her kind designs. I feel some shenanigans coming on. Harriet certainly was not clever, but she had a sweet, docile, grateful disposition, was totally free from conceit, and only desiring to be guided by anyone she looked up to. Her early attachment to herself was very amiable, and her inclination for good company and power of appreciating what was elegant and clever showed that there was no want of taste, though strength of understanding must not be expected, although she was quite convinced of Harriet Smith's being exactly the young friend she wanted, exactly the something which her home required. Such a friend as Mrs. Weston was out of the question. 2 such could never be granted. 2 such she did not want. It was quite a different sort of thing, a sentiment distinct and independent. Mrs. Weston was the object of a regard which had its basis in gratitude and esteem. Harriet would be loved as one to whom she could be useful. For Mrs. Weston, there was nothing to be done. For Harriet, everything. Her first attempts at usefulness were in an endeavor to find out who were the parents, but Harriet could not tell. Oh my. Harriet could not tell. And I lost my place. Oh my gosh. The Killy guys are blowing up the text right now. Oh my gosh. Group texts are a wonderful thing, unless you're trying to concentrate. She was ready to tell everything in her power. Okay. She was ready to tell everything in her power, but on this subject, questions were vain. Emma was obliged to fancy what she liked, but she could never believe that in the same situation she should not have discovered the truth. Harriet had no penetration. She had been satisfied to hear and believe just what Mrs. Goddard chose, to tell her, and looked no farther. That is the beginning of chapter 4 of Emma, Jane Austen's Emma. This is a lovely leather-bound edition of the book that I think a teenage girl would really enjoy, with these stamped-in phrases. I feel like there's some like teenage girl shenanigans going to happen in this story. I think we should watch the movie. There's a newer movie. Came out like a few months ago.
During the quarantine, this was the released at the theater, but they
Right. It was one of those video on demand things.
because of the quarantine.
All right, well, that is going to do it for this week. It is Saturday, June the 6th. It is 6:29 or so. I hope you have a great Sunday. We will not be doing this tomorrow, right? No, we're not doing this tomorrow. You working? The producer has to go to her real job. I actually have real work to do. So we're going to skip tomorrow. Hopefully we will be back on Monday. I hope you're enjoying your summer. There is snow in the forecast from Monday night into Tuesday here in Summit County, Colorado. That is not a joke. Hopefully that will change. We'll see. We moved here. Oh! Today is my 9-year anniversary of living in Colorado. 9 years. I've lived here longer than I lived in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, my favorite place in the country. Favorite place that we've ever lived. The wife has been here 9.5 years. That's a whole other story.
That's how it all got started.
That's how this all got started. That is true. Oh, you're so smart. When the wife left me and moved across the country, I was staying in the house that we lived in, and then we sold the house and I moved to a friend's house. But this is when I started reading things with a Southern accent, because I felt like I had a talent and a gift that should be shared with the rest of the world. And I made it to 23 episodes during that time period of being in Philadelphia alone or living with our friends Dave and Rachel and their dog Mackay. Now, during the COVID, we resurrected this. We revived it because people needed something to watch and do. And now we've made it to episode 60. And today, episode 60, is the anniversary of my arrival as a citizen of the state of Colorado 9 years ago. It's pretty monumental. I like how all this stuff is coming together. I love Colorado. I love being here. I love most of the things about this state. I still think Philadelphia is the best place we've ever lived. It's my 2 cents. That's going to wrap it up for me tonight. We'll be back Monday. Have a great Sunday. My name is Murph. We do this because in times like these, we need some nonsense. So, as always, as I bid you adieu, good night, and please wash your hands. I can't drink all that in one. That would be no.